Coming up, the University of Kansas Jayhawks win their 4th NCAA men's basketball championship in dramatic fashion.
Dramatic fashion would be an understatement right there. We're going to harken back to 1963, and I'm going to throw up a little knowledge your way. Skywatch storm tracker, scattered rain for the rest of our Tuesday, but hey, luckily at least we get a little bit of a warm-up. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the Franklin Technology Center honors the program's Outstanding Student of the Year.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Overcast skies, but we're dry right now, so we'll take that. We'll take that as a winner. Coming off of that sporadic rainfall that even took us into last night. It was amazing. It seemed like no matter where you were, you couldn't escape at least sprinkles that were going to come down throughout the duration of our Monday. And we're going to have a little bit of a repeat performance. We're just getting an early morning break. So for the most part, let's take it. As you can tell, the cloud cover is pretty thick on us right now. Temperatures, though, one thing about that cloud cover, lock you in a little bit of warmth from what we had yesterday, is we're already sitting in the mid-50s and not a wide variation in temperatures as well. And pretty much everybody in between 51 and 55. The heaviest of the thunderstorm activity tracking right through northern and the eastern portion of Arkansas. It has been a long night for them as everything came out of North Texas and will continue to dominate throughout the morning. We're going to keep our eyes on those storm reports. As a matter of fact, speaking of storm reports, look at that line down here from where everything started and moved out to the east. So let's consider ourselves lucky that our rain was relatively light. As we progress through our Tuesday, temperatures up around 70 and some afternoon sunshine. We're really looking good. Now, remember what we've got coming tonight, though. We've got to change our tune here a little bit. Every now and then, you're going to see just a little sprinkle pop up. But when we get to, say about 6, 7 o'clock, that's that development up to the northwest. Legitimate thunderstorm activity going to last us tonight into Wednesday morning as this thing rolls through. That's going to bring us thunder, lightning, and heavier rain than what we had yesterday. 7-day forecast with cooler temperatures behind it, dropping us into the 50s for Thursday and Friday. I think the key factor for those two panels is we decrease our rain chances at least. And Tanya, not going to change that weekend forecast. Still shaping up to be great.
Yeah. Well,
remember that Sunday panel right there. Key factor, that's nighttime rain. That's nighttime rain into Monday. Sunday day, it's going to be great.
Well, even yesterday, that morning rain turned into quite a beautiful afternoon.
Depending on where you were.
Well, where I was at.
Depending on where you were. So, and no, you're right. Like, there were portions of the 4 states that had sunny skies. I road tripped and ran into constant rain for the duration of the afternoon and evening, knowing that not but 40 miles from where I was, it was sunshine. I know. It was just location, location, location is what it was yesterday.
Oh, we cover 4 states here and about 20 different sections of weather.
No, Michael, what is it in my backyard?
Right, it's different everywhere. All right, thanks, Michael. What call to a structure fire leads Boone County authorities to a tragic discovery. At approximately 7:20 a.m., April 2nd, Boone County, Arkansas Sheriff's Department was notified of a structure fire located at 6512 Cave Creek Road. When officers arrived on the scene, they discovered the home fully engulfed in flames and the property owner, 56-year-old William Lynn Minyard Jr., laying on the concrete with a gunshot wound. EMS transported Minyard to a nearby hospital, but he was not expected to survive his injuries. Officers on scene looked for Minyard's wife as well, who had recently filed a restraining order against him. Valley Springs Fire Department put out the flames and discovered human remains. The exact cause of the fire has yet to be determined. The body recovered was sent to the medical examiner's office to determine not only identity, but cause of death. Voters in Missouri and Oklahoma head to the polls today to weigh in on local races and issues, and they include a bond proposal for renovation and construction at Joplin's Memorial Hall. Also, school bond issues in many communities and races for area city offices and school boards. We'll have complete election results coming up tonight on the KOAM News at 9 and 10 and throughout the evening. on KOAMnewsnow.com. Kansas appears unlikely to join other states this year in banning transgender athletes from competing in girls' and women's school sports. That's partly because conservative state lawmakers want the ban to apply to elementary school students. Republican-controlled legislature approved a proposed ban early on Saturday with solid majorities in both chambers, but they do not have the 2/3 majority needed to override an almost certain veto from Democratic Governor Laura Kelly. She rejected a similar bill last year. Several opposing Republicans said having a ban apply as early as kindergarten is a problem. Missouri AG steps back into the legal ring with the Biden administration. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt is suing the Biden administration over the end of public health policy Title 42. That policy is the Trump-era pandemic restriction that blocked most migrants from entering the U.S. Policy essentially allows border officials to turn away migrants because of the pandemic. It's set to end next month. In a statement, Schmidt said revoking Title 42 will create an unprecedented surge at the southern border, and it will overwhelm law enforcement agencies. Meanwhile, immigrant rights advocates are praising reports it will come to an end. It is official. The KU Jayhawks are the NCAA men's basketball champions. In a win for the ages, the Jayhawks overcame a 15-point halftime deficit, the biggest comeback in NCAA championship game history, against the North Carolina Tar Heels to win 72-69 and give this storied franchise their 4th national championship, the 2nd for head coach Bill Self. Celebration erupted in the stands as KU fans quickly stormed the court following the Jayhawk victory. In Lawrence, Kansas, the home of the University of Kansas, watch parties quickly turned into celebration parties. And one of those parties took place at the Power and Light District in Kansas City. Coming up in sports, Michael will have your full game details of this epic final. Proud of my boys. All right. Franklin Technology Center is recognizing the outstanding work of one of its seniors. Leighton Coates is an automotive technology student, and he's being honored as the program's Outstanding Student of the Year. Officials say he not only passed his Automotive Service Excellence certifications, but he also passed his certifications for the Ford ACE program, which not many students do. In fact, Leighton is the first student to complete all 65 college-level automotive courses offered at Franklin Tech.
Just gives me, if something doesn't work out, it gives me another thing to do. It just gives me a place to go if something doesn't work out.
Leighton's teachers also say he's served as a great role model for other students during his time at Franklin Tech. It's time to go deep because it's National Deep Dish Pizza Day. To mark the day, you can get one to go from a pizza shop in your area, bake a frozen one, or make your own at home. You can post photos of your slices with the social media hashtag National Deep Dish Pizza Day. Fun fact, deep dish pizza was invented in Chicago. Yeah, I know, Michael. It was invented in Chicago in 1943. Slow down there. By the founder of Uno's Pizzeria. It caught on, and Uno's grew into a national chain. Other deep dish pizzerias sprung up around the world.
This sounds crazy. Are there any Unos around here?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
No?
I've never been to an Uno's Pizzeria.
Okay, then I'm going to say
that no.
there's not. No, Uno's was a staple when I was growing up, and I hadn't thought about that name in years until you just said it. I'm like, yeah, there's not an Uno's Pizza around here.
I grew up, obviously Pizza Hut, Godfather's.
I was going to wait and see what you said. That Springfield, Ohio, Godfather's is
Dodge
that's what
City,
you rock.
Kansas, Godfather's.
Hey, I got one. You know what I'm just going to do? We'll just drop little random tidbits. And first off, for those of you that don't know, Tanya Bach is a very proud graduate of the University of Kansas. Congratulations.
Hey, they did it.
Thank you, but
I didn't do anything.
As you know, I'm saying as like being part of the KU family. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that's really cool. And I know you guys have had your fair share of success and whatnot, but no, I think every time you have that, soak it in enjoy it. I'll just give you little tidbits as we go throughout the show. I'll just drop little facets of it. Yeah. Anyway, last night's comeback, they were down 16 at one point in time. Breaks the previous record. Biggest comeback in NCAA championship game history. Previous record was 1963.
Okay.
Loyola Ramblers came back and beat Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati, led by Ed Juker, legendary head coach. Anyway, also in that Final Four of 1963, Duke. Oh, I haven't even got started on the whole Dean Smith thing, so just like soak that one up. It was Duke. What was it? Duke, Oregon State, Loyola, Cincinnati. Yeah.
I was in college when Bill Self first came to KU.
You were what?
I was in college when Coach
Oh,
Self
right.
first came.
No, I thought you were going to talk about Bill coaching. I'm like, I love you, and I would never call you out on air, but you were not there when Bill was coaching.
No, Bill Self.
Right. I'm like, you and I, we grew up in the Larry Brown, Roy Williams days.
Yes, yes. All right, thanks, Michael. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Carl Junction takes to the diamond against the Nevada Tigers. But the Bulldogs bite bigger than their bark. We're going to find out in sports. Plus, the master of what's called the biggest trivia game in the world is passing his thinking cap on to the next generation. And we want to know what your favorite type of game is. And it's almost time to get back in the garden, but make sure you protect your back while you're out there. We've got some tips on how to keep your back healthy while you watch your garden grow. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
March Madness coming to a close in dramatic fashion. Number 1 seeded University of Kansas taking on 8th seeded North Carolina. A historic matchup between these two schools. Do me a favor, Carissa Hollow, don't touch my teleprompter while I'm doing this, please. Kansas Jayhawks defeated North Carolina 72-69. It was the biggest comeback in NCAA championship game history. Kansas found itself down 16 points in the first half. This does eclipse that previous record we were talking about from 1963 when Loyola overcame a 15-point mark. The win, the second NCAA title for Coach Bill Self, 4th for the university, and of course the last one they won back in 2008. You also had an astounding 5 players with double-doubles last night, double figures in both points and rebounds. Andrew Baggett from North Carolina, his 6th consecutive tournament double-double, and of course another one of those belonging to Dave McCormick. Here's the Jayhawks head coach on the latest KU title.
But to win when your team had to fight and come back the way they did and show that much grit makes this one off the charts. I thought this would be good, and this is a heck of a lot better than I thought it would be.
This is the first title for KU since the aforementioned Mario's Miracle of 2008. David McCormick, as we were talking about, double-double of his own, 15 points, 10 rebounds, and what would turn out to be the game winner. The most impressive thing about McCormick's game winner was it came off of his own miss on an offensive rebound that he put back in. The KU defense would then lock down North Carolina as UNC would go scoreless the final minute 21 of the game. That includes the last 4 shots attempted in about, say a 6-7 minute span, including a final 3-pointer that came up just short. Celebration started hours ago. I guarantee you they're still going on. Maybe you here in the, maybe right now you KU fans in the 4 states, we're on air and you're going, oh my gosh, what time is it? I have partied all night long. That's okay. It's fine. We got you. You're waking up with us. Here, you know what? We got coffee. You're good to go, man. A little bit like that. Tell the boss you were enjoying the championship game. I get it. On to the Diamond Monday with the opening day of one of my favorite tournaments in the 4 states. It's the Bill O'Dell Tournament in Carthage. 2 games on the schedule to begin pool play. Up first, Carl Junction up against Nevada. Shane Diskin on the mound for CJ. That was filthy, man. That was filthy right there. All right, still top of the first. Nevada on the board. Eli Cheney into right field. Here comes Drake Ketterman scoring from second. Tigers get 2 in the inning and are up 2-0. Here comes CJ. As ball scoots by, Drew Massey hustles in from third. Bulldogs get 2 of their own in the inning, and now we're tied at 2. Same score, top 4. Massey at the plate, down the line, right off the third base bag. Well, that's going to score 2 more. CJ's got their first lead of the afternoon. And Diskin back on the mound. How about a complete game with 6 strikeouts? What a game by Shane Diskin. Carl Junction pulls away from Nevada, wins it 10-3. In the second and final game in Carthage, hometown Tigers up against Ncaa, and Carthage started fast and finished strong. Final score was 16-2. Now, Carthage is going to have an off day before facing Monette tomorrow afternoon. Missouri Southern's Matt Miller is your MIAA Hitter of the Week. Miller hit .571 with 3 homers, 2 doubles, and 11 runs batted in last week. Helped the Lions go 4-0, including a 3-game sweep over Fort Hays State. Did a lot of that damage Tuesday. In that one game, he tied a Southern record by hitting 3 home runs with 8 RBIs. Miller and the Lions, they are back in action. That'll be tonight, hosting Missouri S&T, a.k.a. UMR Rolla, at 5 p.m. Colgan Panthers open CNC League play against the Girard Trojans. These 2 teams, both off to hot starts to begin the spring. Colgan 4-0 coming into the night. Girard 2-0. Top of the third. Pitch here. It scoots away. Here comes Bailey Troike, hustling in from third. Troike gives the Trojans an early lead. Later in the inning, a little bit of a swinging bunt from Hannah Bailey. Tell you what, good things happen when you put the ball in play, as Bailey's safe and Rachel Bennett scores from third. After that, on an Aaron Anderson hit to left, Riley Brooks scores. Girard's got things rolling, and then in the top of the 7th, Leah McGowan. Oh, Leah, you did not. Oh, yeah, you did. Okay, that is our early highlight winner for this season. By the way, Girard earns a shutout in game 1, 5-0. But anytime you get the moms and the dads scattering because they weren't paying attention out there, good for you, Leah. And I tell you what, I sit out there in center field when I go to Girard. I am going to be paying attention, kiddo. But I am also going to laugh about those other parents that were scattering. That was tremendous. Game 2, Trojans get it done with the sweep, 10-4. Girard now 4-0 to start the season and already 2-0 in the CNC. Finally, the 86th Masters Golf Tournament. It is a tradition unlike any other. It begins Thursday in Augusta, Georgia. And now it looks like there's a good chance we're going to see Tiger Woods out there. Woods practice round at Augusta yesterday, says he'll be a game time decision on Thursday morning. Woods a little more than a year removed from a car crash in which he suffered multiple leg injuries that involved multiple surgeries. He, of course, has won the Masters some 5 times and a 15-time major champion. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, Ecuadorian police say at least 20 prisoners died in a prison riot. We'll find out exactly what's going on in Central America and a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Rolling the 50s right now. Temperatures not too bad for an early April morning. Eventually, we'll get up into the low 70s. Now, rain not going to be a huge factor for today. It'll kind of pop up, come and go, but you might as well just have the umbrella handy throughout the course of today into tomorrow, because once those thunderstorms formulate overnight and they roll through, we'll get widespread rain for later tonight, say about 6, 7 o'clock, all the way into Wednesday morning. Cooler temperatures on the backside, highs of only 50s on Thursday and Friday. KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll with the end of an era. The master of the so-called world's largest trivia game hanging up his pen every year. A student-run radio station in Stevens Point, Wisconsin hosts a 54-hour trivia game with teams from all around the world. Registration for this year's game, if you're interested, it's now open. Hannah Bullcourt with the story.
For 34 years, Jim Oliva has been the man behind the questions of the world's largest trivia contest, but many people know him as the Oz. After a 2-year break because of COVID, fans were to get in line early to register. One fan told me she got there at 9 in the morning.
Every year, Patty and I like to wait in line together and just talk about trivia. It's one of my favorite traditions of trivia, is just hanging out in line, talking with people, seeing friends.
She met Patty Johnson through trivia. Patty's been playing every year since she was born. She says her team is competitive. They won 4 times.
It's like Christmas where, you all come back, but sometimes people can't make Christmas, but they can make trivia because we all want to get together. And that's the only time you see some people is during trivia weekend.
But the man responsible for bringing friends and family together all these years is ready to write a new chapter.
This is a hard year because it's my final year, and people are doing little things here and there which are tearing me up inside.
He's thankful for all the kindness and support from the community, and while it's been a lot of work, he says it's all about having fun.
My girlfriend will say, "I can't believe it takes you that many hours to write just 3 hours of questions." I said, "Yeah, but you have to remember the downtime when we're laughing so hard, we're worried about wetting our pants. It's just, you're laughing too hard."
Oz has also been a huge impact on students working at 90 FM.
It's kind of like blowing my mind to work with someone who knows all of the ropes that come with this industry.
He'll spend his last year bustling around for the 54 hours of consecutive trivia with students before he passes his trivia pen to the next writer.
I want to say for everybody out there, let's play trivia, Fast Eddie.
This year's trivia game kicking off Friday with a parade on the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point campus. Our question for you this morning: what's your favorite type of game? We threw in about 6 different options for you right there, and we'll get to some of your results. Come back, Healthwatch next.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, as the weather warms up, you may find yourself working in the yard more. Gardening can be great for your health as it gets you outside and moving, but if you aren't careful, you can also hurt your back. Mandy Gaither reports on how good body mechanics can help lower your risk of injury.
Gardening is good for your body and mind.
It's great exercise, and that combined with the fact that we're out in the sun, which stimulates vitamin D, provides excellent osteoporosis prevention.
But if you aren't careful, gardening can take a toll on your body. That's why it's important to pay attention to the way you work in the yard, says Dr. Deborah Benzel, a neurosurgeon at Cleveland Clinic.
Equipment is absolutely key. If you're trying to dig something out and your shovel or your spade is not sharp, that's going to put a lot more stress on your body.
Benzel recommends a kneeling bench or seat while weeding or prolonged planting, especially if you're older. The closer your plants and equipment are to you, the less stress on your body. She says to also lift with your legs, not your back, and use a wheelbarrow to help carry heavy loads. She says bending over is the worst thing you can do while gardening.
If you're going to do that, you have to make sure that you straighten your body on a very regular basis, because keeping it in that flex position for a long time is really bad for you.
And remember to stretch before and after.
That has tremendous benefit in relieving that discomfort that many of us feel after we've put our backs in positions for too long.
Finally, take frequent breaks and don't try to garden your entire yard all at once.
Pregnant women have been told about the risk of smoking and drinking, but it turns out the messaging about marijuana isn't quite as effective. According to a 2019 study, cannabis usage among expectant moms on the rise. Now, a new study from the Colorado School of Public Health found pregnant women who were exposed to THC and CBD were more likely to have kids who weighed more and had higher blood sugar levels when they were 5 years old. A study author says there's a misconception marijuana is safe, so some women use it instead of other meds. But in addition to this latest study, there are other studies that show it's been linked to low birth weight, behavioral problems, abnormal neurological development, autism and hyperactivity, attention issues, and other cognitive and behavioral issues. Wisconsin officials confirm a second case of the highly contagious bird flu found in a backyard flock of chickens. The virus is often fatal to birds and can sometimes spread to humans. Avian influenza also cost the poultry industry billions of dollars. Researchers at University of Wisconsin-Madison are looking to slow the spread of the deadly virus by developing a vaccine for it. UAW-Madison researchers are still in the testing phase, and it will still be a couple of years before the vaccine goes to market. Meanwhile, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says this strain of the bird flu is not a cause for immediate public health concern and does not pose a food safety risk. Medicare is now covering the cost of at-home COVID tests for its enrollees. The move comes more than 2 months after the Biden administration began requiring private insurers to cover the test. Medicare's more than 59 million enrollees were initially not part of that directive. That's because Medicare had never covered over-the-counter tests before and needed time to expand its reimbursement program. Now Medicare will pay participating pharmacies directly for up to 8 tests per month for qualified enrollees at no out-of-pocket cost to them. Many national chains like Walmart, Costco, CBS, Walgreens, and Kroger are participating. You can call 1-800-MEDICARE for a full list. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, the University of Kansas Jayhawks win their 4th NCAA men's basketball championship in dramatic fashion.
Well, if they're still out partying the streets in Lawrence or even in the 4 states, at least it's a mild morning temperature-wise. We do have thunderstorms on the way. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the Franklin Technology Center honors the program's outstanding student of the year.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:35. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael.
David McCormick putting his name up there with Mario Chalmers and Danny Manning. Like I told you, I'm just going to just drop them as we go. And your boy, Ochai Agbaji, the most outstanding player. And so once again, congratulations to Tanya Bach. She's a proud graduate of the University of Kansas. And for all you KU fans out there, yeah, like I said, congratulations. It was an exciting watch, to say the least. Very mild temperatures for our Tuesday morning, low to mid 50s, and we're actually going to get sunshine today. We'll have sunrise at 6:58 over Joplin. Be able to work up into the low 70s. Can't beat that. Now remember tonight, well, first off, just don't leave without the umbrella, because every now and then you get a little sporadic raindrop over you, nothing to worry about until we get to about 6, 7 o'clock tonight. Watch this line develop. Thunderstorms work through overnight into early Wednesday. And not only that, followed by a little bit of a cold front. So while we'll be done with that, say about 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and really shouldn't hamper travel, we are going to go back to a little bit heavier clothing right there for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with low 60s and 50s coming off of today in the 70s.
All right. Well, it is official. KU Jayhawks are the NCAA men's basketball champions. It's a win for the ages. Jayhawks overcame a 15-point halftime deficit, the biggest comeback in NCAA championship game history against the North Carolina Tar Heels to win 72-69 and give this storied franchise their 4th national championship, the 2nd for head coach Bill Self. Celebration erupted in the stands as KU fans quickly stormed the court following the Jayhawk victory. Now in Lawrence, Kansas, home of the University of Kansas, where I lived for 5 years, watch parties quickly turned into celebration parties. One of those parties took place at the Power and Light District, just a few miles away in Kansas City. Franklin Technology Center is honoring one of its top seniors in the automotive tech program, Leighton Coase. He passed all of the automotive service excellence certifications and passed all the certifications for the Ford ACE program.
Partially because I have a dad that works on race cars all the time, so I kind of grew up with it. So something I'd like to stick with.
The Ford ACE program, which Leighton passed, is the same certification that master technicians receive at Ford dealerships. Well, as the Joplin Police Department continues to face staffing shortages, the Joplin City Council on Monday approved a proposal aimed at helping to fix that problem. The department has developed a recruitment incentive plan to attract experienced officers to join the force. The plan provides a $10,000 payment to officers from other agencies who sign on with the JPD. One of the requirements is those officers must commit to 2 years with the department. Officials with the JPD say they hope this helps current staff as well.
We're trying to get to full staff so that we can give them that relief, that we can get those shifts fully strengthened so that they can go out there, and the more officers you have, the quicker we can respond to calls, the less time that victim may have to spend waiting on an officer to respond.
Police department has been dealing with a staffing shortage for months. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. The Joplin Police Department is showing its support by working with residents to set up pinwheels in front of the department. Hundreds of pinwheels were placed on Monday, each representing an allegation of child abuse made in Joplin last year. 5-year-old girl from Arma, Kansas is showing her appreciation for law enforcement. Sophia Rakestraw is competing in the Baby Miss America pageant. Oh, she's so cute. Part of the pageant is serving a cause. Sophia and her family had chosen to back the blue, so they're going around and delivering cookies to local law enforcement, showing appreciation for their service.
I think if you ask the officers, it's been a pretty positive impact. This is our first time doing it so far with the Baby Miss America pageant. It's one of the, they want all the little girls and boys in the Baby Miss America to bring that awareness to them, because it's not happening anywhere right now.
Sophia was chosen out of 750 girls to represent the state of Kansas for this pageant.
70s later on today, and remember, we are going to end up with some afternoon, or evening, I should say, evening thunderstorms. But any which way you cut it, the best thing to do this week, throw the umbrella in the back of the car, because even though our rainfall is light and sporadic during the afternoon, I don't want you to get caught outside without it. But hey, it is short sleeve weather today before the cold front comes after the thunderstorms.
This morning, we're discussing getting your game on. That's right. For 34 years, Jim Oliva, or Oz to many people, has been the man behind the questions of the world's largest trivia contest. Every year, the student-run radio station 90 FM in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, hosts the 54-hour game. Teams from all around the world can play. After a 2-year break because of COVID, fans got in line early to register. The man responsible for bringing friends and family together all these years is ready to write a new chapter. He'll spend his last year bustling around for the 54 hours of consecutive trivia with students before he passes his trivia pen to the next writer.
Our question for you this morning: what's your favorite type of game right now? 34% going the video game route, followed by 26% who say cards, 16% role playing, and 16% trivia. I don't know where dominoes would fall on there. I think that'd probably be, I don't know, would that be a board game? I don't know. That was one of the wise one, and I
probably
conquered
board.
the most. Yeah.
Do you role play while you play dominoes? Maybe, I don't know. It could fall into cards too, maybe.
Can we keep this PG?
Because you treat dominoes like a card. You know, you pick which one
We
to play.
cannot keep this PG.
We should. I would call it a card game, kind of, in that category. I'm just ignoring what you just said and moving along. That's what we do. When Michael says something awkward.
That's exactly what she would tell me, too. That's what you do, Michael.
All right. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, we've got the dramatic story of how Arizona police saved a litter of puppies from a house fire. You don't want to miss this one. Plus, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky steps into the decimated city of Bucha to see firsthand carnage Russian troops wrought on the civilian population. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping World Watch, Ukraine's president making his first trip out of Kyiv since the war began yesterday to see the atrocities in the nearby city of Bucha. Bradley Blackburn, he is at the United Nations in New York City, where Ukraine's president speaks virtually today. We do want to warn you, some of the video you're about to see may be disturbing.
Today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will tell the United Nations Security Council about what he saw in the town of Bucha. Zelensky says more than 300 people were killed and tortured before Russian forces were driven out. Video from the Kyiv suburb shows bodies of dead civilians lining the streets, some with their hands tied and shot from close range.
Burned and destroyed.
Richard Weir is gathering evidence of potential war crimes for Human Rights Watch.
I think what we've seen here is pretty strong indications that a number of willful killings or murders took place
The U.S. and other countries are seeking to suspend Russia from the UN Human Rights Council. 2/3 of the 193 members would need to vote in favor.
The images out of Bucha and devastation across Ukraine require us now to match our words with action.
President Biden says Russian President Vladimir Putin should be tried for war crimes.
He is a war criminal. This guy is brutal.
Russian officials claimed the scenes in Bucha were staged as an anti-Russian provocation.
In Western mass media, fake news about alleged atrocities of the Russian military forces.
U.S. military officials believe Russia pulled out of Kyiv to focus on a full-scale attack in the southeast Donbas region. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
President Biden says he's planning new sanctions against Russia. In Ecuador, police say at least 20 prisoners are dead, 10 injured during a riot over the weekend. The country's interior minister says these incidents are the result of criminal groups fighting to take control of the prison. Authorities say more police officers have been deployed to the prison in case of further violence. That's a look at some of today's top world stories. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News and the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. In a win for the ages, the Jayhawks overcame a 15-point halftime deficit, the biggest comeback in NCAA championship game history, against the North Carolina Tar Heels to win 72-69 and give this storied franchise their 4th national championship, the second for head coach Bill Self. Celebration erupted in the stands as KU fans quickly stormed the court following the Jayhawk victory. In Lawrence, Kansas, home of the University of Kansas, watch parties quickly turned into celebration parties. One of those parties took place at the Power and Light District in Kansas City. As the Joplin Police Department continues to face staffing shortages, the Joplin City Council on Monday approved a proposal aimed at helping to fix that problem. The department has developed a recruitment incentive plan to attract experienced officers to join the force. The plan provides a $10,000 payment to officers from other agencies who sign on with the JPD. One of the requirements is those officers must commit to 2 years with the department. Officials with the JPD say they hope this helps current staff as well. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. The Joplin Police Department is showing its support by working with residents to set up pinwheels in front of the department. Hundreds of pinwheels were placed on Monday, each representing an allegation of child abuse made in Joplin last year. And a 5-year-old girl from Arma, Kansas is showing her appreciation for law enforcement. Sophia Rakestraw is competing in the Baby Miss America pageant. Part of the pageant is serving a cause. Sophia and her family have chosen to back the Blues, so they're going around and delivering cookies to local law enforcement, showing appreciation for their service. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Very mild Tuesday morning. Look at these temperatures already up into the 50s consistently. So we don't need to worry about anybody even probably dropping into the 40s. This is a great morning so far. Now it is mostly cloudy skies, not a whole lot of pop-up precipitation so far. I would keep that umbrella though. Every now and then you're going to run into a little drizzle, especially if you live up in the northeastern section. But other than that, you get down south of I-44 where the rain dominated yesterday, you're good to go. We'll get sunny skies. But you look at those ladder panels on the right-hand side, an indicator that we are going to have thunderstorm activity that arrives late tonight, say about 6, 7 o'clock, develops up to our northwest. And as it moves through, we're going to go thunder, lightning, and a little bout of heavy rain here that'll carry us into Wednesday morning before we clear out. Also, following the thunderstorm activity, how about a little cold front as temperatures will be down to the 60s and then the 50s for Thursday and Friday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Well, incredible body cam video from firefighters in Arizona as they jump into action to save a litter of puppies trapped inside a burning house. It happened early Monday morning in Glendale. Michael Duda has more on how the heroes were able to safely get them out.
There was a bunch of flames from the side of the house. The bunch of flames were just rising, a bunch of wood just flying everywhere.
Just before 2 a.m., Brianne Castillo's family awoke to their neighbor's home engulfed in flames. They called 911 and checked to see if anyone was home. Glendale police were the first on the scene.
Glendale police!
With officers aware there could be dogs in the garage, one grabbed a shovel.
Can you hear them yelp?
another officer, then finding the 7-day-old pups just a foot or so from the flames. He scooped them all into a food bowl,
Hey, hold up!
getting them to safety at a neighbor's home.
We didn't even know they had dogs until my brother went up there and he hears dogs crying.
Our canine guy's asking if you guys have a Fido kit. All right. That's it, brothers. All right, thank you.
A Fido bag with an oxygen mask specifically designed for animals.
There you go. Okay.
The pups were taken to an area emergency vet for treatment. Mom and pups are said to be recovering, but sadly, one of the pups did die from smoke inhalation. Homeowners were not at home at the time, but will be displaced.
It's that human nature. You hear something or someone in trouble, and you see that opportunity to save that life. These officers took advantage of it, and they did what they could.
Authorities say the cause of the fire was a cooler in the garage that malfunctioned. No injuries were reported. We'll be back with another look at your forecast.
Overcast start to our Tuesday morning. All the rain in the northeast now pushing out of our highlighted counties. We'll pick up some raindrops every now and then, just a little sprinkle, if you will, about the, we'll equivocate to for the duration of our Tuesday, and eventually some sunshine. So the fact that we're already starting in the mid-50s, well, that's an indicator that we've got 70s headed our way this afternoon. Though some sunshine, much more sunshine than what we had yesterday. For those of you, especially down to the south, it was a long wait yesterday before we saw anything break through. It'd be different today. It'd be much nicer. Now, that being said, we've also got thunderstorms headed our way today. They'll originate out of northern Kansas and give us a good line of precipitation. There we go. We formulate about 6, 7. Now, when it first starts, it doesn't look like anything big, but watch how this thing becomes more widespread as we progress from Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So that's going to throw some thunder and lightning at us. Majority of the rain is going to fall on the eastern edge of our county, so that'll be throughout southwest Missouri, dipping down into northeast Oklahoma as well. Then we finally clear off on Wednesday, but you notice big difference temperature-wise from today compared to where we end the week, about a 20-degree drop. More KOAM morning news right after this.
Coming up, the University of Kansas Jayhawks win their 4th NCAA men's basketball championship in dramatic fashion.
A little break from the rain, nice temperatures, but remember, thunderstorms are on the horizon. We will have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the Franklin Technology Center honors the program's Outstanding Student of the Year.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Not a bad start. Great temperatures right now, 50 degrees, and a break from the rain. So that's a little bit relief, and eventually some sunshine on top of that. There we are on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. We did see a little shower activity in the far northeastern reaches of southwest Missouri. Now, as that presses out, here's a live look over 7th and Rangeline, where we sit at 54 degrees. Pretty quiet intersection, and we like that this time of day. Now, even though we're going to get a morning break and some sunshine, we do have some developments that will appear later on today. So this is a great day to get out and enjoy some fresh air if you can take that lunch break and find an excuse to get on a park bench, because it's absolutely going to be delightful. How about, we say about 70, 73 degrees this afternoon. Now, every now and then, you're going to get a pop-up raindrop. It's not going to be anything big, more like a sprinkle is all that equivocate to. As we get to tonight, here we go. Got some thunderstorm activity going to roll in from the northwest right there. Formulate about 6, 7 o'clock in our far northern reaches. Take us from Tuesday night all the way through Wednesday morning. Get some bouts of heavy rain involved with that as well. High wind is going to be the #1 factor in all this as it eventually blows through for Wednesday late morning. So don't think it'll have a whole lot of travel impacts. Tanya, our soils should be to the point now where we're not overly saturated. So I don't think flooding is going to be a concern. It's going to be overnight high winds. Looks like we'll escape anything hail related, so that's good news. Everything's going to stay down to the south of us through portions of Arkansas and then kind of whip through the boot heel and take off toward Tennessee. But that's what we're looking at with our thunderstorm activity. Cold front on the backside of it, 50s for Thursday and Friday, but still looking forward to a marvelous, marvelous weekend.
All right, well, yeah, we can make it through a few more rainy days and hopefully find enough sunshine in between.
And you know, really today's going to be one of those, I wouldn't be surprised, we're going to get the bouts of sunshine, and then it may sprinkle on you for 5 minutes, and then the sun's going to come back up. So really being outside today, that's not going to be a problem. Just lock in for the old T-storms tonight.
There you go. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, a heartbreaking development from the preliminary findings of the KBI report on last month's officer-involved shooting and standoff in Baxter Springs. Those findings indicate the 2-year-old child in the home died from a shot fired by a responding officer. On March 26th, Eli Crawford barricaded himself inside a travel trailer with his 2-year-old daughter after shooting and killing the child's mother, Taylor Shute. Crawford fired more than 90 rounds at responding officers during a nearly 2.5-hour standoff with police. Joplin SWAT team was called in to assist, and a Joplin officer returned fire toward the home. KBI's preliminary update reveals that shot killed 2-year-old Cleslin Crawford. JPD Chief Sloan Rowland issued a release discussing the situation and saying, quote, "This is a horrific outcome to what had already started as a very tragic incident. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the families involved and the surrounding community." Joplin police released the identity of the suspect in a death investigation who died during a standoff last week. Police say 44-year-old James Weiss, Jr. of Joplin last week killed Donald Weimer. During that investigation, officers received a tip that Weiss was in a home at 2201 South Empire, but refused to come out. SWAT officers used chemical munitions, heard a gunshot, and then saw fire coming from the attic of the home. When the fire was under control, they found Weiss in the attic with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Authorities say investigation is still underway. A report of a fire ends in a tragedy in Boone County, Arkansas. At approximately 7:20 a.m. on April 2nd, the Boone County, Arkansas Sheriff's Department was notified of a structure fire located at 6512 Cave Creek Road. When officers arrived on scene, they discovered the home fully engulfed in flames and the property owner, 56-year-old William Lynn Minyard Jr., laying on the concrete with a gunshot wound. EMS transported Minyard to a nearby hospital. He was not expected to survive his injuries. Officers on scene looked for Minyard's wife as well, who had recently filed a restraining order against him. Valley Springs Fire Department put out the flames and discovered human remains. The exact cause of the fire has yet to be determined, and the body recovered was sent to the medical examiner's office to determine not only identity, but cause of death. Neosho, Missouri police arrest a woman who they say killed someone while driving under the influence. Authorities say on Saturday, Stormy Dean was driving on Baxter Street in Neosho when she crashed into another vehicle. The driver of that other vehicle was injured, and a passenger, 22-year-old Carol Lovett of Neosho, was killed. Officers say Dean was impaired at the time. Authorities have charged her with DWI, death of another. And Missouri Highway Patrol says there were 2 fatal crashes in Berry County, Missouri over the past few days. On Saturday, 20-year-old Ricky Sanchez of Pea Ridge, Arkansas was driving an ATV on Farm Road 2290, about 5 miles west of Seligman. Authorities say he swerved to avoid a dog and the ATV overturned. Sanchez was pronounced dead at the scene. And the other crash happened Friday on State Highway 39, about 2 miles from Maudry. Officials say 59-year-old Kimberly Andrews of Fair Grove was driving north when she ran off the road and overturned. She was pronounced dead at a Springfield hospital. Franklin Technology Center is honoring one of its top seniors in its automotive tech program, Leighton Coates. He's passed all of the automotive service excellence certifications and passed all the certifications for the Ford ACE program.
Partially because I have a dad that works on race cars all the time, so I kind of grew up with it. So something I'd like to stick with.
Ford ACE program, which Leighton passed, is the same certification that master technicians receive at Ford dealerships. Way to go, Leighton. Well, it's official. The KU Jayhawks are the NCAA men's basketball champions. In a win for the ages, the Jayhawks overcame a 15-point halftime deficit, the biggest comeback in NCAA championship game history, against the North Carolina Tar Heels to win 72-69 and give this storied franchise their 4th national championship, the 2nd for head coach Bill Self. Celebration erupted in the stands as KU fans quickly stormed the court following the Jayhawk victory. Now in Lawrence, Kansas, home of the University of Kansas, watch parties quickly turned into celebration parties. And one of those parties took place a few miles away at the Power and Light District in Kansas City. Well, today back in...
This is how we're going to pivot on this.
Yes.
This is how we're going to pivot on this.
It's a little awkward, I know.
Got it. Okay. There's a heck of a pivot. Go ahead.
Okay.
I know exactly where I was. I can tell you exactly where I was when that happened.
I'd like to stay on the Jayhawks, but we're going to move along. Today, back in 1994, grunge rock icon Kurt Cobain dies by suicide. His body was discovered inside his home 3 days later by Gary Smith, an electrician who was there installing a security system in the home. Despite indication it had been suicide, skeptics questioned the circumstances of his death and pinned the blame on Courtney Love, Cobain's wife.
How deep are we going to get on this?
Yeah, lead singer of Nirvana had attempted to overdose after he mixed champagne and the drug Rohypnol, but ended up in a coma instead. Police had even been over to Cobain's house and confiscated 4 guns from him. He threatened to kill himself again. His wife and friends attempted to intervene. Cobain blew off their concerns. Were you a Nirvana fan in high school?
I was at County Highway 1709 and Dove Road.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you find out like on the radio?
On the radio.
On the radio?
Indeed, yeah. That's exactly how I found out.
I want to say I heard about it at school the next day kind of thing.
Yeah. On my way to school. So, yeah. 1709 and Dove Road at the intersection, stoplight, red light, radio.
Yes, because I rode the bus in 1994, so we wouldn't have heard on the radio.
Wow, we're good.
Yeah.
Well, I will save my Bill Self factoid for later.
Yes, please do.
And you know, you bring up the Courtney situation, as I call it. Let's remember too that this is the man who penned the lines. He's the one who likes to sing along and he likes to shoot his gun, but he don't know what it means.
Michael, it smells like Teen Spirit.
Oh, I can play this game with you. You want to play this game?
No, we got to move along.
But I want, that game's more fun.
I know.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Jasmine Kyle from the SEK Humane Society is going to stop by. Tanya's going to find a pet connection that you don't want to miss.
And it's a cat.
And I'm going to tell you about Ketanji Jackson Brown's Senate confirmation and how she gained a few allies from Republicans. Also, a restaurant in Springfield warning of a scam going around the area. We're going to make sure that you don't fall victim to it. By the way, for those of you thinking about identity theft, we will track you down. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson with more support in her bid to become the nation's first black female Supreme Court justice. Bradley Blackburn returns with more on how a couple Republicans pledging to back Jackson all but locks in her confirmation that could happen later this week.
Republican Senators Mitt Romney and Lisa Murkowski announced last night they will vote to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. Alongside Maine's Susan Collins, that makes 3 Republicans now backing Jackson, seeming to guarantee her confirmation. In a statement on Twitter, Senator Romney wrote, "After reviewing Judge Jackson's record and testimony, I have concluded that she is a well-qualified jurist and a person of honor. While I do not expect to agree with every decision she may make on the court, I believe that she more than meets the standard of excellence and integrity." Senator Murkowski cited Jackson's judicial independence and temperament while criticizing both sides of the aisle for how political the review process has become. Both senators' endorsements came after the Senate Judiciary Committee was deadlocked over Jackson's nomination in a tie vote. That forced the Senate to use a special procedure to discharge it to the floor for consideration.
Let us move forward with this brilliant, this resoundingly qualified, this historic nominee to the highest court in the land.
Democrats say they want to hold a final full Senate vote on Judge Jackson's nomination by the end of this week, before the Easter recess. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
If confirmed, Jackson's appointment will not change the ideological makeup of the court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority. She would replace Justice Stephen Breyer, who earlier this year announced he will retire from the High Court at the end of its term this summer. And of course, she was also a clerk for the Honorable Breyer. That is a look at today's top national story. We'll be back with Jasmine Kyle from the Ncaa Humane Society right after this.
Welcome back. We've got Jasmine Kyle from the Ncaa Humane Society joining us again with a cute addition this morning. I think our theme this week is cats.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is little Lilac. She is just about 4 months of age. She has a few siblings at our shelter, Sprout, and she has a sister too. But as you can see, we're getting into kitten season here real quick. Lots of puppies too right now, but we're starting to see some kittens start to straggle on in.
How old is Lilac, you think?
Yeah, she is about 4 months of age right now. But with kitten season, one of the things that we wanted to talk about this morning is we're starting to get calls from the public is, hey, I found a litter of kittens. What do I do? And the first thing, of course, when you see, especially babies, very young babies, is to go in and rescue them. Don't. Unless you see, leave mom and babies alone for the most part, because mom cat knows better than us. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Let's say that you have a litter of 6, right? And let's say they're about 2 to 4 weeks of age. Those kittens need to be fed every 2 to 4 hours around the clock. So you have to think to yourself, can you take on that responsibility at the same time? So first, if you see mom and kittens and everything's looking great, they're all healthy, let them be. Now let's say that you want to continue supporting them. You can absolutely do that. You can provide fresh food and water, outdoor shelter, please. That is a huge help to the feral cat communities out there. Now I will give 2 caveats on when human engagement is really pushed is one, if their shelter is not safe. So let's say that you have mom and kittens and they're not really in a safe place within your barn, right? You can absolutely move kittens, but do it in very small increments. If you're ever worried that mom has not been around the kittens, we use what's called the flour trick. Get a little bit of flour from your kitchen, sprinkle it around the kittens, and you come back for 6 hours and you will see little paw prints. Because a cat, of course, mama cat's not gonna come by. She's on the sidelines watching what's going on. So with those footprints, you'll be able to see if mom's coming back and forth from her kittens. And of course, if she's not, you know, within usually a day or so, you can absolutely go in and take care of the situation. Second caveat, of course, if mom or kittens are sick, then yes, absolutely get on in there and get them some vet care if they need it. But for the most part, and it's hard, it really is hard when you see those kittens, but kittens really for the most part, for the first 2 months, need to be with their mom. That milk is everything to them. And yes, there is replacement milk for cats and dogs, just like with humans, but nothing beats mom's love.
Aw.
Yeah.
Now you guys have several cats at the shelter right now.
Yeah, and we're also getting a ton of puppies in right now. A few weeks ago we talked about the litter of 12. We now have a litter of 7 right now. There they are, a little cuddle puddle, you all. These are about a month old, and they are Bernedoodle mixes.
What is a Bernedoodle?
Yes, a Mountain Bernese dog mixed with poodle is what we were told when they were surrendered to us. But they are cute as can be, 6 boys, 1 girl. So that little girl's gonna be the leader of those boys, let's say. But cute as can be, and of course, with kitten and puppy season, we are of course accepting fosters and especially foster to adopts. What that means is if there is a dog or a cat that you've been looking into adopting within your household but would like a longer timeline, we can absolutely set that up with you. With our fosters, they are given everything that they need, food, water, toys. We'll supply everything. You supply food, you supply love and time. We'll provide everything else.
All right, and do you have any adoption events coming up soon?
Not here soon. We've got some in a few weeks. Right now we're gearing up for actually the Pittsburgh Art Walk at the end of this month. We're super excited, but Lakeside USD 250 is coming back with us and those kids, and we are building some dog houses. Those kids build these dog houses from scratch, Tanya. They have to build these little itty bitty models first and get those approved, and then Pitt State usually hops on in and gives the kids art lessons. But we're planning on bringing the event back this year. It's in the works, but I should have more to share here in the next few weeks, including pictures.
Excited to find out about that, that's for sure. All right, well, I think we're getting Lilac warmed up here a little bit.
She is super sweet, and that's
Friendly.
the one thing with cats too. Give them time. And if you're ever thinking of adopting here in the near future, we go by the rules of 3. 3 days to get adjusted to the sights and sounds of the house, 3 weeks to get adjusted to the family, and then 3 months to get fully acclimated within the household. So go by your rules of 3. Now, of course, some animals are much quicker, like Miss Lilac. We fostered her last night to get her ready, and within 2 hours, she was asleep upside down in my husband's arms, giving kisses and everything.
How sweet.
But of course, with any animal, it's different, so give them time and patience.
Well, if you don't mind sticking around, we'd like to have you back during our Fox show.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we will go to break and have you back in our next hour.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, health leaders in Springfield warning businesses not to be fooled by a restaurant inspection scam. Madison Horner has more on imposters serving up fake information.
One of the establishments was the Springfield Family Restaurant. We know them very well. They reached out to us immediately, and they knew something was wrong, and we're happy that they let us know as soon as they did.
Springfield Greene County Health Department Program Coordinator Eric Markle says scam calls like this chip away at the rapport the department builds with its establishments.
We take a lot of pride in working with them, and when something like this comes in and damages that in any effect, it's concerning.
After being notified, staff sent out a reminder to restaurants to be certain of who they are speaking to. The scammers asked businesses about their previous inspections, which they didn't feel comfortable sharing. Markle says if the number they are calling from is unfamiliar, it's okay to ask for a first and last name. You can also call the department and ask to be transferred to them. It's also okay to ask inspectors on site to show a picture ID, but there are a couple things inspectors won't do.
We won't be asking for personal information. We won't be asking for favors of any sort, and our inspectors definitely will not be collecting any money.
The Springfield Greene County Health Department did get an advisory from the state about impersonations taking place in northwestern counties.
But this is our first indicator that has happened here locally.
Great.
Says they still are not sure of the scam caller's motives, but encourage any other establishments, including those here in the 4 states who may receive these calls, contact the health department in Springfield, get more information from them. Contact your local health department as well and let them know that you received one of those phone calls. Newly identified protein biomarkers found in breast milk and blood serum could one day be used for cancer screening in women of any age. It's a small study. It's published in Experimental Biology. It looked at proteins in the breast milk of 3 women diagnosed with breast cancer and 3 without. Researchers found those proteins showing differences were previously linked to cancer or tumor development. I'm sorry, we do a lot of health stories sometimes. It's just like it's common sense. That one right there, like I'm still wrapping my head around the screening one. That's amazing. A report from Ncaa found the marketing of unhealthy food still targets kids, despite improvements to industry self-regulation. More than 1/3 of food products marketed to kids did not qualify as healthy. Authors calling for regulators to tighten loopholes and keep kids healthy. That was one of those that, yeah, we knew. I want to go back and I want to know more about the breast milk and the screening on that. Telehealth may have a permanent place in treating mental health. Research from Oregon Health and Science University found while in-person mental health visits dropped by 22% during the pandemic, they quickly rebounded, and nearly half transitioned to telehealth by the end of 2020. That's a look at some of today's top health stories as you're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Coming up, the University of Kansas Jayhawks win their 4th NCAA men's basketball championship in dramatic fashion.
Quiet over 7th and Rangeline. We'll call that a winner because we've got thunderstorms on the way, as we'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the Franklin Technology Center honors the program's Outstanding Student of the Year.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, Let's go to Michael Hayslip, Skywatch Weather Center.
Little respite from the rain, which is very nice because we've got more headed our way, and it'll come more so in a sprinkle fashion throughout the course of our afternoon until thunderstorms develop later tonight over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. 54 degrees. It is absolutely delightful right now temperature-wise. We do have a little bit of an overcast start. Sunrise over Joplin, 6:58 this morning. And once we get a little sunshine and the clouds begin to clear off, we will begin our jaunt up to around 70 degrees. It is going to be just a great looking afternoon. Now, by the time we get to tonight, here's where our changes begin to emerge. Like I said, every now and then you see a pop of green. It's a sprinkle, that's all it is. Now, 6, 7 o'clock, northwestern quadrant of the 4 states. Here we develop thunderstorm activity that moves in. We're not really going to have to worry about any flooding concerns for tomorrow, even though we'll get some periodic bouts of heavy rain where you see the yellow and the orange. But it'll move through relatively quickly. We're going to have thunder and lightning involved in this, the majority of the precipitation falling throughout southwest Missouri. A little bit of it filtering south of I-44, which obviously is the place that picked up the most rain from yesterday. I think the biggest change, Tanya, is really the cooler temperatures on the backside of it. We knew this week was going to be a little bit dreary, and we knew it was going to be a little bit wet. But we're going to go from 72 today all the way down to the 50s there on Thursday and Friday.
All right. Well, at least we got good temperatures this week.
And our ground to the point right now where I don't think flooding is going to be a concern. We may see one of those hydrological advisories pop up, but I think we'll escape the watches and the warnings.
Which is the perfect kind of rain for the crops that are growing this time of year. So.
But it's darned if you do, darned if you don't, because you have some people that want that rain to saturate the fields, and I'll go to the store today and I'll have somebody tell me I can't get out in my field because it's too wet.
Yeah. If it's the field is just right and high enough, it's not standing.
Trust me, if I could make the field just right.
Oh, you would make everyone's day. Somehow. I guess you're going to have to.
Oh, I almost forgot. Bill Self.
Ooh.
For those of you who don't know, Tanya Bach, a proud graduate of the University of Kansas. And so first off, Tanya, as I like to say, congratulations.
Rock chalk.
Yeah. Just on any time that your team does anything historic like that, I'm very happy for those of you that are KU fans, and I hope you celebrated and enjoyed it. Bill Self avenges his previous losses against Villanova, right? Beats North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
With Roy in the stands. I don't know why you guys relish in that, but you do. God bless Roy Williams, one of the nicest people to be around. Bill Self is 34 wins away from what KU coach? He's 34 wins away from Fog.
Ooh. Ooh.
Isn't that something else?
That's cool.
34 wins away from tying Fog Allen.
That's really awesome.
That's crazy.
When I lost it in my house fire, I'm sad. I wish I could come up with another one. But when Bill Self first came to KU, I got a shirt that said self-respect. It was cool.
Also, for those of you that are familiar with Tanya and I's background, she obviously a KU graduate. I went to the University of Missouri. We love each other. We truly do.
Look, he's wearing red and blue today.
There's no animosity there. I have to laugh, though, because of the lineage of our MU coaches that go to Tulsa. And where did Bill Self come from? Oral Roberts, Tulsa, Illinois, KU.
Yep. It's one big happy family, Michael. All right.
I love you, too.
All right, moving along. Well, we've got a heartbreaking development from the preliminary findings of the KBI report on last month's officer-involved shooting and standoff in Baxter Springs. And these findings indicate the 2-year-old child in the home died from a shot fired by a responding officer. KOAM's Chris Warner has been following this story and has more.
The latest information from the KBI details what Joplin Police Chief Sloan Rowland calls a horrific outcome. On March 26th, Eli Crawford barricaded himself inside a travel trailer with his 2-year-old daughter after shooting and killing the child's mother, Taylor Schutt. Crawford fired more than 90 rounds at responding officers during a nearly 2.5-hour standoff with police. The Joplin SWAT team was called in to assist, and a Joplin officer returned fire toward the home. The KBI's preliminary report revealed that shot killed 2-year-old Cleslin Crawford. JPD Chief Sloan Rowland issued a release discussing the situation and saying, quote, "This is a horrific outcome to what had already started as a very tragic incident. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the families involved and the surrounding community. We ask that you pray for the victims and everyone involved." Now, that officer is on paid administrative leave per department policy. Chief Rowland added that a separate internal investigation is ongoing. The KBI also stated that it believes Eli Crawford died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The KBI says its investigation is ongoing, and once concluded, the findings will be presented to the Cherokee County Attorney to determine if criminal charges will be filed. We again want to reiterate the KBI's findings are preliminary at this time. In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
And you can see the full release from the KBI on our website at koamnewsnow.com. Well, a 5-year-old girl from Arma, Kansas is showing her appreciation for law enforcement. Sophia Rakestraw is competing in the Baby Miss America pageant. Part of the pageant is serving a cause. Sophia and her family have chosen to back the blue, so they're going around and delivering cookies to local law enforcement, showing appreciation for their service.
I think if you ask the officers, it's been a pretty positive impact. This is our first time doing it so far with the Baby Miss America pageant. It's one of the, they want all the little girls and boys in the Baby Miss America to bring that awareness to them because it's not happening anywhere right now.
Sophia was chosen out of 750 girls to represent the state of Kansas for this pageant. Congratulations, Sophia. Such a cutie. Franklin Technology Center is honoring one of its top seniors in its automotive tech program, Leighton Coates. He's passed all of the Automotive Service Excellence certifications and passed all of the certifications for the Ford ACE program. Congratulations to him. And congratulations to the KU Jayhawks, the newest NCAA men's basketball champions. In a win for the ages, the Jayhawks overcame a 15-point halftime deficit, the biggest comeback in NCAA championship game history, against the North Carolina Tar Heels to win 72-69 and give this storied franchise their 4th national championship, the 2nd for head coach Bill Self. Celebration erupted in the stands as KU fans quickly stormed the court following the Jayhawk victory. In Lawrence, Kansas, the home of the University of Kansas, watch parties quickly turned into celebration parties. One of those parties took place at the Power and Light District in Kansas City, just a few miles down the road. Well, today, back in 1955, Winston Churchill retires as Prime Minister. Sir Winston Churchill, the British leader who guided Great Britain and allies through the crisis of World War II, retires as Prime Minister of Great Britain. With a long political and military career, Churchill was known for many things. This included being blamed for the disastrous Dardanelles and Gallipoli campaigns from World War I, being a cabinet member of Lloyd George, Secretary of War, and playing a leading role in the defeat of the General Strike of 1926. Churchill also issued unheeded warnings of the threat of Nazi and Japanese aggression. Churchill is also famous for his Iron Curtain speech, which he did in Fulton, Missouri.
Great piece of mid-Missouri culture and history, and we're not too far from it. And I'm speaking to everybody in all 4 of our states because you're merely hours away from Fulton, Missouri. Westminster College is where it's located at. I was a young lad, and Westminster had just one heck of a Division III football team that I kind of latched onto, and I covered them for an extended period of time, not knowing that Winston Churchill and President Truman had visited Westminster College together.
How cool was that?
And you get there, and there's a statue. They have a museum dedicated to Winston Churchill right there in Fulton, Missouri, at Westminster College. And so, if you're ever looking for like a nice little weekend getaway, because Fulton's a marvelous small city, and you can spend hours, just hours, doing historical stuff in Fulton, Missouri. Who would have thought, right?
Pretty cool.
Oh, it's
Pretty
great.
cool.
Temperatures into the 70s today. Remember, we have thunderstorms overnight that are going to carry us into Wednesday. Get out and enjoy a great afternoon, though, and grab yourself some fresh air before it gets cooler at the end of the work week.
That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, scammers take advantage of trading cryptocurrency. We're going to have tips for you to stay safe. Plus, gaming is a fun hobby, whether it be playing board games or picking up a controller and playing games like Final Fantasy. We want to know, what kind of games do you like to play? We'll let you weigh in. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, trading cryptocurrency has exploded in popularity, but criminals are taking advantage of the trend. The FBI says Americans lost about $1 billion in crypto scams last year. Megan Schiller spoke with one victim who was ripped off by a con artist posing as one of her friends.
It all started when a message popped up on Instagram.
I was like, it's $200, and that is a lot of money. But at the same time, like, the little part in my brain was like, oh my God, if this happens, this is going to be awesome.
Natasha Reyna said a friend asked her to use the Cash App and buy just $200 in cryptocurrency. For the money, she'd see a huge return fast.
So, like, I'm like, I could pay my bills, pay my car off.
The Better Business Bureau says it's a scam that's tripled in popularity. Cyber criminals hack into an unsuspecting person's account and target their friends because the trust is already there. Reyna said the person even gave her a link to watch her money start to grow. But then came a red flag.
$4,700. I made my money. I was like, now give me it. You know, like, I want to withdraw this. And they're like, no, you have to reinvest $1,500.
Reyna stopped there and called the BBB.
Cryptocurrency scams were identified as the second riskiest scam last year, a significant increase from the 7th spot the year prior.
Reyna feels lucky to only be out $200, but won't invest again without doing her research.
It could either be like really good or really bad. If you're going to do that, you should really educate yourself.
The Better Business Bureau tells me most victims lose around $1,200. If you want to invest in legitimate crypto, experts say only download apps from your Google Play or your Apple App Store. And don't just click the links that pop up during a routine Google search, because they could lead you down the wrong path as well. Megan Schiller, CBS News, Pittsburgh.
FBI says to avoid crypto scams, double and triple checking website URLs and all hyperlinks. Never send crypto payments to people you meet online, and never trust anyone who asks for direct payments or offers investment opportunities. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. You know, yesterday we talked about chess, and today talking about trivia games. That's our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Instapoll. That gentleman's been running this trivia game for 54 years at Wisconsin Stevens Point. Our question for you, what's your favorite type of game? Right now, 44% chiming in saying you like card games. Then we're kind of split after that. Coming in second, I found this interesting, 27% say video games. Appreciate your engagement each and every morning. We're going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but first, off to New York with what's coming up on CBS Mornings.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, the use of marijuana is allowed by many states, but there remains a reluctance to talk about it. The stigma of marijuana, coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Otis Kendall. Kendall served in the Navy from 1950 to 1952. He served in Korea aboard the USS Bremerton, his hometown, Joplin, Missouri. We thank you, Otis Kendall, today's four-state hero.
So Tanya, back when I did sports, there was a family that I covered that had a great name, and just as one of those things, like, you love to say it on air. And we may be a little belated in celebrating a birthday, so I'm going to try to make it up. Easy, Ryder! Ryder Hernandez, I promise, if I say that on air, it's because it comes with a whole lot of love, my man. He celebrated his 7th birthday over the weekend, and so that's why I say we're a little bit belated on this. But Ryder, I'm going to carry your birthday all throughout this week, and I want you to know that these birthday wishes come with love from Mom, Dad, and Wyatt as Ryder. is in Parsons.
Now, if he hasn't heard that phrase, he's going to hear it all the time now. Thank you, Michael.
I hope you know what? And like I said, that is Easy Rider. When I break that out on air, that is reserved. There are a very select few people who I will use that for. But Ryder Hernandez, you were one of those. You are now part of the club, my man.
All right, and we've got Ariana Breiner celebrating birthday number 11 this year. Ariana is a 5th grader at George Nettles Elementary in Pittsburgh.
That's a cool sweatshirt, too. I have not seen that kind of print. I like that. Jaden Hawkins is turning 17. Jaden, a very happy birthday to you. She is celebrating in Girard.
All right, and yes, Blake Phillips is dressed up as the Tooth Fairy. Nice job there, Blake. Turning 17 years old in Pittsburgh.
I think that's great because those young kids out there, they're going to look at Blake and they're going to be like, you know what? Aspirations, Tooth Fairy. I love that.
The Rock.
Blake, I'm not going to tell you that Tanya just rolled her eyes at me.
Didn't The Rock dress up as the Tooth Fairy too?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did make a movie about that? I think that was The Rock, right?
I don't know. Hey, out at Carthage High School, we've got the senior on our hands with the class T-shirt showing it right there. Alec Cleveland, he is turning 18 years old. Now, Alec in Webb City, but once again, he's a senior at Carthage High School. And Alec, no matter how old you get, my man, know that you always get birthday wishes with love from your family, including from Papa and Yaya. And have a great day, my man.
All right, Anna Dean is turning 18 years old this year.
What?
Great picture there in Labette County.
Man, I have not seen, I've known Anna forever. Of course, with the pandemic and whatnot, I haven't seen her in a long time. 18 years old, my goodness, kiddo. Well, young lady. Happy birthday to you. Okay, that just shows you, that's one of those times flying on me. CJ Campbell, the big 2-0. So CJ, congratulations and a happy birthday. He is in McCune. And CJ, these birthday wishes with love from Mom.
Jason Edge celebrating birthday number 36 this year. Hope it's a great one, Jason.
That's a cool picture too with the foul pole in the back. That's tremendous right there. Happy birthday, Jason. Tanya, I really having one of those days where I'm looking at what I used to call them kids. Josh and Amber Ames, congratulations as they celebrate their 9th anniversary in Pittsburgh. A happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com/birthdays.
Coming up when we transition over to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, a piece of unearthed video for a story that's being researched by one station turns up a familiar face, if you will. Find out who that is when we transition to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be back right after this. Temperatures up into the mid-70s later on today, but remember we also have thunderstorm activity that's going to work in late tonight, take us into Wednesday morning. Should not have any flooding concerns, however, but grab an umbrella. Just be on the safe side.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making an easy chicken bubble bake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Mornings coming up next in cities across the country. Violent crime surging. We're going to see how the FBI and police work together to bring down crime and how that could be a blueprint for other cities.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, we're going to talk about urban beekeeping. Michael's favorite topic.
If you want to see me get sweaty palms, be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're